Former Michigan staffer Connor Stallions is now on staff at Bryce Underwood's high school. How much should LSU be concerned about this? We're talking about it. Locked on LSU. Let's go.
You are Locked On LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked on LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Thanks so much for making us your first listen every day. We're free, available wherever you get podcasts, of course, on YouTube as well. So please subscribe. Oh, boy. This past weekend, LSU played Alabama. Bryce Underwood, the five-star number one quarterback and number one player in the country, was in Tiger Stadium for his official visit. All signs point to Underwood maintaining his commitment to LSU and signing with the Tigers a little less than a month from now in December. But the plot thickened on Monday as the head coach at Bellevue, where Bryce Underwood plays high school football, the head coach, DeJuan Rogers, spoke to CBS Detroit, Channel 4, and confirmed a report that Connor Stallions has joined the Bellevue staff. I'm going to talk about this, but here is audio of that interview, an excerpt with the head coach at Bellevue with CBS 4 in Detroit.
Some news had got out. We do have Connor Stallions on staff. He's been a tremendous help. I met him back in the summertime through Coach Will. So Coach Will was the head man over at Munford High School, who used to be a former coach here. We worked together, and when I decided that I was coming back to Belleville, I called him, to see what his status was he free to help, and if there was any guys that he could recommend to come help the program. He recommended Connor. I mean, it's been good. It's been good for me, to learn from him, bounce some ideas off of him and see, where his mind is at. Just trying to enhance, everything that I do with football. He's been a tremendous help to the team, helping us attack opposing defenses and, tweaking some things that we do defensively, so I'm definitely glad to have him. The rest of the staff is excited. The kids are glad to have him.
And I know that you want to set the record straight also. There seems to be some rumors speculating, of course, that all this is because of Mr. Bryce Underwood.
Bryce is pretty popular, great kid, great student athlete, but, Connor has no dealings with that. He's here strictly because I needed someone that can come over and be an asset to the program, and that was a guy that was recommended by someone that I trust. So with all the rumors and the things speculating about him being here to help flip Bryce, those are not true. The biggest thing and why I wanted to speak on it is because we don't need any distractions. We got a really big game coming up on Friday, and I just wanted to get this out the way so that we can move forward.
Okay, so there's the story. The story is that Connor Stallions is now a coach at Bellevue, where Bryce Underwood is playing out his senior season, and they're in the postseason. We all know the background here. Okay, if you're not familiar, let me quickly catch you up, just for those who may not be sure. So Bryce Underwood is the number one player in the country. He's been committed to LSU for a year. He is a transcendent quarterback. He's from the state of Michigan, about 30 minutes from Ann Arbor, of course, where Michigan plays. Here in the last several months, as we get closer to the early signing period, Michigan has reportedly ramped up their recruiting efforts for Bryce Underwood. Dave Portnoy, the president of Barstool, has gone on the record to say he'd offer between $1 and $3 million a year for Michigan to land an elite quarterback. Further reports have come out saying that Portnoy has, in fact, met with the Michigan hierarchy about that, and that the Wolverines have put together what is reportedly a $5 million NIL offer for Bryce Underwood over 3 years. That is not chump change. I am told from the LSU perspective, LSU's NIL offer is not that significant. It's not $5 million over 3 to 4 years like Michigan is reportedly offering, but let's be very clear also. It's not like LSU's offering chump change. You don't land the number one quarterback in the country because he likes gumbo. Yes, there's a lot that Bryce Underwood very clearly likes about LSU. He has a great relationship with LSU offensive coordinator Joe Sloan, and Bryce Underwood has said it many times. He wants to play in the SEC. He likes the appeal and the allure of LSU and the swagger and Odell on the sideline and all that sort of stuff. Michigan has the very prim and proper Michigan man mentality, and that's great for some, but not for everyone. In this instance, it seems to be something that isn't necessarily super appealing to Bryce Underwood. Well, the one thing, as I understand it, that could conceivably force or cause Bryce Underwood to flip would be the Godfather offer, right? If Michigan or some school came in and dumped a pile of money that you just don't say no to, that could be the thing that might cause Underwood to flip. So here's the question, though, that you'd have to ask. You hear the interview there with DeJuan Rogers, Bryce Underwood's high school head coach, and you learn that Connor Stallions, who had been coaching at another high school, is now coaching at Bryce Underwood's high school. And you can tell me that there's nothing nefarious, that he's just there to help the Bellevue team make it through the playoffs. I'm not calling Coach Rogers a liar, but I think it's also naive to assume that someone who is a liar and a cheater, and make no mistake, Connor Stallions is a liar and a cheater. This is a man who went to incredible lengths to cheat for the University of Michigan. This is not my opinion. This is something that upon NCAA investigation has been proven to be true. There is an entire report about it. And many people associated with that program currently and formerly, Jim Harbaugh included, have been implicated and found to have done wrongdoing. So I'm not giving you an opinion. This is proven fact here. Connor Stallions cheated. He went to great lengths to do so. He found himself onto opposing team sidelines. He dressed in disguise. There are photos of him on opposing team sidelines, dressed in disguise, spying on Michigan's opponents. Some may say that it's no coincidence that as soon as Connor Stallions started spying and cheating, Michigan won the national championship. I don't know that I'm going to connect those dots because I think Michigan had a great team a season ago. They had 15 players drafted, and they had a really good head coach and a quarterback that went in round one. They were a great team. Okay, so I'm not going to say that the thing that got them over the hump was Connor Stallions. What I am very confident in saying is Connor Stallions is a proven liar and cheater and someone who would go to great lengths, clearly, to help the University of Michigan win. Do we think it's beyond Connor Stallions to infiltrate a high school football program of the number one recruit in the country who happens to be 30 minutes from Michigan's campus and might do so in an effort to get closer to him, to persuade him to consider the University of Michigan? Yeah, I think that's completely plausible. And I think that's what's happening. And I think it's also plausible that Connor Stallions is a good coach who's got high-level experience that can also help Bellevue. But if we're going to believe that there's no ulterior motive, I believe that is naive at best and just flat stupid at worst. And I ain't stupid. I don't think I'm naive either. So the real question is, will it work? Especially considering that Bryce Underwood was just in Baton Rouge and watched LSU get walloped by Alabama. I have some thoughts. We'll get to that next. Locked on LSU, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Today's show is also brought to you by Game Time, my absolute favorite ticketing app. And the thing that hooked me on Game Time, I told you, is the upfront pricing. I love the all-in pricing. You got to turn the feature on, and when you toggle, it'll show you the total upfront, so you're never surprised with fees at checkout. I've been burned by that before, as I'm sure you have. You think you're paying a certain price because it's the thing you see on the home screen. By the time you get to checkout and all the fees, it ain't even close to that price. Not with Game Time when you turn on the all-in pricing feature. I love the seat views. You get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, and they always offer the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem with the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. So Bryce Underwood was in Baton Rouge for the debacle. It was an otherwise fantastic day. Vibes were immaculate. Tiger Stadium was full. You had Omar the Tiger on the sideline. I'm not going there. But it was an otherwise great day, except for the game, which ended terribly. And so a lot of LSU fans have asked me that question. Do you think the result of the game might sway some of these LSU commitments, or including Bryce Underwood, to maybe not consider LSU or to flip because of the game? DJ Pickett's dad talked to On3 about the visit. And he said in no uncertain terms that he wanted to go where his son was going to be happy, where his son felt like he was at home, and where he had the best opportunity to play early. And that was at LSU. This was after DJ Pickett visited LSU for a game where they got blown out in the rain. And it's a reminder to me of something that I learned my second year covering LSU. Now, I am not a recruiting guy. I'm very upfront about that always. I'm not the guy that's calling recruits or recruits' families. I'm not the one that's watching huddle highlights or any of that sort of stuff. There's people who do that and do an exceptional job at maintaining those relationships. And I feel like I developed trust with some of those people and who I trust for their information. And I learned this lesson back in 2008. My first year ever covering LSU was 2007. LSU wins the national championship. In 2008 was a disaster. LSU lost 5 games. And it wasn't just that they lost 5 games. They were 7-5, won the bowl game to get to 8-5. But those 5 losses were ugly. They became the first defending national champ to allow 50 in 2 games. They allowed 50 at Florida and at home against Georgia. Remember, they had the failed Malvito experience with Bradley Dale Pivito and Doug Mallory, the co-DCs, and they were just a disaster. Jarrett Lee with all the pick sixes. It was memorable for all the wrong reasons that season. And a lot of people wondered if LSU, which had the number 1 signing class or commitment class, recruiting class in the country at that point, coming out of 2008 for the 2009 signing class, a lot of people wondered, might some of those players, including Russell Shepard, the number 1 player in the country, decommit? None of them did. Go back and look at that 2009 signing class. Again, remember, LSU wins the championship. Then in 2008, it's a terrible season. And a month after that season ends, they have this signing class, which was the number 1 signing class in the country. Russell Shepard, the 5-star number 1 quarterback in the country. Craig Lawson, a 5-star safety. Ruben Randall, a 5-star receiver. Chris Davenport, a 5-star defensive lineman. Michael Ford, Sam Montgomery, Barkevius Mingo, Kevin Minter, Chris Falk, Michael Brockers. We can go. Mo Claiborne was in that class. Benny Logan. The core players of a team that ended up playing for the 2001 national championship, that dominant season, then again into 2012, were all part of that elite 2009 signing class, a class that inked a month after LSU finished a 5-loss season that was terrible by LSU standard. And the reason, as I've learned, is in recruiting, those relationships are built not in those players' senior years, but sometimes 2 and 3 years in advance. And a lot of times, high school players, recruits look at games differently than you and me, the fan, the media. We're thinking, man, might the player be motivated or to decommit after a bad loss? The truth is, that player looks at it going, man, I could play immediately here. They need me. And then now you throw NIL into that component as well, which further binds these recruits to the place that's recruiting them. And remember, it's not just NIL, but next year you'll have revenue sharing as well, which is going to basically lower everybody's floor and everybody's going to be able to make more money. The bottom line is, I don't believe one iota that the result of the game against Alabama is going to impact this LSU signing class. It's one game, and you hear it all the time. DJ Pickett, the 5-star number 1 cornerback in the country, coming out of the game. His dad, I just told you, his dad is saying that he's locked in. Bryce Underwood, I think, is locked into LSU as well. He's never shown interest in going to the University of Michigan, and I don't think that starts now, less than a month from signing day. The only thing, potentially, that could do it is the Godfather offer. But even money might not be the entire thing. Bryce Underwood and his family have said so openly he is making a decision of who is going to get him to the NFL and to that second NFL contract where he can make hundreds of millions of dollars instead of the short-term benefit of the largest NIL offer. And LSU's had 2 Heisman Trophy winners in the last 5 seasons. And they play a wide-open offense, and they throw the ball, and they feature the quarterback. Michigan doesn't. So, could Connor Stallions work on flipping Bryce Underwood? Sure. And I believe he will. Will Michigan continue to recruit Bryce Underwood and throw more money at him? Yes, and I believe they will. Do I believe Bryce Underwood is solidly committed to LSU and will be a Tiger? Yes, I do. And we'll find out soon enough. December 4th is the early signing period. You think Connor Stallions might infiltrate LSU signing day wearing an LSU cap and glasses, maybe a little mustache as well? We'll be following it all the way through. Okay, that'll do it for us here for this bonus content of Locked on LSU. If you're new, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Rate us, leave a review. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a video. And please be sure to comment. Remember, one of the best ways to help us grow is to leave your comments below. And be sure to tell a friend if they love the Tigers. We got you here every single day for Locked on LSU, your team every day.